You let me pull this up over here as we begin with the first one. That look, I've been on the record, especially here on Intercut, talking about these gentlemen's movies. What did they go by again? Because I know I got it wrong last time.
Radio Silence.
Radio Silence. Matthew Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. They've done a couple of movies. I think they have a really interesting style. I think Ready or Not has been the most cohesive in terms of having that like bloody bang 'em up slasher type of vibe, and then a goofy story, which is what they're good for. They don't really like dipping into the seriousness. They'll like skirt it like they've done with the Scream movies, especially in Scream 6, where they just have like conversations with you. Abigail is that middle ground for sure, where it is a movie about a crew, almost like a heist crew that has been hired to go take this little girl from one mansion to another, which really got me, and then have to babysit her overnight in order to get this $7 million apiece jackpot from whoever's hiring them. Little do they know that they're actually in a movie that's a remake of Dracula's Daughter. Zach, you don't seem as excited for this. I am trying to remember what your Renfield score, and we had a couple of other vampire-ish movies, but how'd you feel about Abigail?
I can't say that I'm like prolific when it comes to this vampire subgenre. It's not exactly one that has produced a lot of films. I'm a huge fan of. Sorry for the Twilight fans out there, but I think part of what ultimately is Abigail's issue, and I'm curious how much of this you think can be blamed on the movie and how much of it can be blamed on the marketing for the movie, is I feel like this one just takes forever to really get going. It's about 45 minutes until anything kind of off-kilter starts happening. It's an hour before they reveal the things that they reveal in the trailer for the movie, actually, launch you into the plot of the film. And as you mentioned, like the production title for this movie was Dracula's Daughter, right? Like this is something that was going to be front and center regardless of what the trailers had you, until they changed it to the much more boring title Abigail. And I don't know. I think there was a lot of moving pieces into place, explaining why everybody's there, just over explaining the machinations of the kidnapping plot and the splitting up the money. And I don't know. I thought it was, I don't know. I just didn't really ever get on this movie's wavelength. I thought it wasn't really wacky enough. As you mentioned, it's not quite as wacky as some of the previous Radio Silence movies we got. And I also didn't really find the gore to be that creative either.
Really?
I'm a little bit mystified by some of the positive reactions for this one. Like we're in a period of a lot of recent horror releases, and I found things to like about Immaculate. I understand some people's response to First Omen. With this one, I'm really at a loss why people are enjoying it.
You had mentioned the vampire genre, and I think that's one thing that maybe like vampire fans have just been used to. You had mentioned how it's like, why does it take 30, 40 minutes to get to what we already know? Invitation was another one. They waste your time for 30, 40 minutes as if you didn't see the trailer that they're all vampires. The trailer lets you know 40 seconds in, right? Just like Abigail.
Right.
So it's like this marketing thing. This isn't a vampire movie, but 65 had the same thing. You're supposed to wonder, what could these monsters be? Oh my gosh, they're the dinosaurs we saw on the poster. It is a miscommunication. I think you have it on the money there, that for Abigail, how you're promoting this movie is how audiences are expecting to have it delivered. They already know the twist. It's like they tried to mismarket it in a way to have it be the secret, and the secret was already out there. I think that's where I think the delivery doesn't really work too well. I agree that the bloodiness isn't creative, but it was fun. Like, I'm not giving them a gold.
There are buckets of it.
There's a lot of it. There's I think that the part that I liked for me was, you don't usually see kid action horror fighting, I'd say. I remember when The Walking Dead had that really iconic shot of him shooting the zombie girl, and people were like, I can't believe they showed that on TV. We get a little bit more throughout the years, and here, I mean, especially with Dan Stevens, who I think has been on a run kidnapping little children in
He's having a fun
2024 horror movies.
Yeah.
Do you like it better than Cuckoo?
Honestly, I think I like Cuckoo more.
Damn.
Yeah.
I'm almost like even in them. I'm feeling like I'm giving just a little bit more to Abigail because of its bigger cast and the way that they play off of each other. But I thought there was some moments between Dan Stevens and the way that he's trying to shut down the project that were kind of funny for what they were. I liked Angus Cloud. The movie's dedicated in his name, and he's one of the early ones in the crew who's just like, the one cracking jokes. I thought that was pretty funny. Has some levity to it. Catherine Newton's been playing the same kind of role. It's her Lisa Frankenstein character. It's a lot of the roles that she's been playing in other movies here. Kind of like the ditzy one, just trying to enjoy the vibes of what's happening in a heist movie. But I agree, if they would have trimmed a little bit off the beginning and have it just been the gore fest that it's trying to pitch you at all in one location, I think it would have been better. My issue with these guys has always been the direction in which they take things. Like, oh, there's a power that this vampire is given, and now when another character wants to kind of flip that power, they add a rule to it. They did this in the Scream movies to a degree that it ticked me off so much. I vented on it on the channel. That's where I'm like, yo, you have I think the story is good, but why are you always like tweaking things in a way that the characters wouldn't do that?
It's also when they do that kind of late film plot manipulation, they leave it all to be explained by characters. I found this to be a very non-visual horror movie. Like, there is so much just talking back and forth at each other and not enough just like things that are obvious. There's a whole bit about Melissa Barrera's character trying to inject this sedative, and anybody with eyes can see, oh, this is the needle they used as a sedative before. We can figure that out, but no, they have to actually have the character explain what she's doing, just in case you were on your phone earlier in the movie or something like that. So,
did you like when she had a son and they zoomed in on her wallpaper with her son?
And then somebody asked her, "Oh, is that your son?"
Your son?
It's just.
I personally like when they rolled out the $100 bill and they just stopped the movie to give everyone's backstories. Or when the bad girl, Abigail, is locked up and says, I'm going to spend 15 minutes telling y'all the backstory again, but with names.
Right. Like, just information dumping rather than having things come across as natural and over explaining things. It just really, really drags the movie down. I think you're right that it's some of those performances that do elevate it in parts. I liked Catherine Newton here. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of the same thing she's been doing in movies for the past few years, but she's good in it. And it sort of serves to kind of like make her a contrast for a lot of the more serious characters there. The person who I was less familiar with, whose performance I enjoyed, was Kevin Durand, who looks kind of like a swole Elon Musk in this movie. Just playing the kind of like affable lunkhead. I thought he was pretty charming in parts.
I know him from Lost, so seeing him that big, I was like, damn, bro, they buffed you up. Right? He's one of the bad guys from Dharma Initiative, so to me, he's really good at being evil, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like you said, Angus Cloud was nice to see, and unfortunately, I don't know if this is the last performance we're getting from him, but probably one of the last ones. Yeah. What do you think about Melissa Barrera, who is reuniting with the Radio Silence guys since they worked together on the Scream movies? This is kind of a different type of performance than what she's giving in Scream.
Yeah, kind of, because she's trying to be this, like, again, like it's mentioned, a single mother who's only in this to try to get the stuff done. I thought they treated her really dumb. You had mentioned the over-explaining of the syringe, the sedative. This girl goes, wait, I was here to sedate a human body, but I have age limits on the human bodies I sedate. Girl, did you never look at the body bag? The child-sized body bag? Yeah, it's goofy things like that where I think the direction really hurts her performance. I think she's got a cool mystique to her in the movie, especially because they play for a little bit off of this aesthetic of they've got to cover themselves up so that the little girl doesn't see them. That goes out the window really quick. I think it's fine because towards the end it felt like a Scream movie. They are splattering her the same way they did the Scream movie. I'm like, this is just another filter. The way they show you those Disney animations from the 40s and then they're like in the 70s, they just traced over them. There's a point where she gets stabbed and it's got the agonizing face. Cut to the action over there. Agonizing face. Cut to the action. That's wrapped. And now she's free. It's the same direction you've done in Scream 5, 6, and now this. Even the top, if you remember in 6, without spoiling too much, there's like a 2-story fight that's got like a corridor. This is a 2-story fight. That's using like the other half of the corridor. I don't know if they filmed Scream 6 in this back to back, bro, but I heard that she got followed by one of the Wayans Bros, and for that,
Ooh.
I am really crossing my fingers that she does get to do the Scary Movie remake, because I think it's Josh who's putting it perfectly here in the comments. Radio silence are known for breaking convention, but this is basically what they make fun of. And to me, it's like they're barely on their fourth movie. I think they've been making fun of it and doing it right in front of you for the last three. That's been my issue with the guys. But hey, Abigail, it's out. I don't overly love it. Don't get it twisted. But I'm probably sitting at a 3. I know you were sitting at a 1 or 1.5. 1.5. It's fair enough. I'm glad they're out of the Scream movies, but they need to do original stuff. I don't want to see a remake of Dracula's Daughter. I want to see what they can bring in so that they don't get stuck in these conventions that they feel they need to break and then don't. But that's Abigail, out in theaters.
Sorry, you were breaking up a little bit for me there. I think we're getting back to normal though. Yeah. Yeah.
I just said you loved it, and I was very surprised that it was a sleeper hit for you.
I was curious to just ranking it against some of the other recent horrors we've been getting. You talked about Cuckoo, which is coming out not too long from now. We talked about Immaculate and First Omen recently. Would you say you'd have it above some of the recent horror movies that we've been getting in theaters, or maybe towards the bottom of that list?
I have it tied with Cuckoo. I think First Omen and Immaculate have done something different, and like I said, I think I upped Immaculate a little bit. I like what they're going for there, an actual story. This is like gun 'em up, beat 'em up type stuff, right? Like, you're just there for the blood. At a certain point, you watch this movie going, we're just getting from point A to point B with as much blood as possible. None of it makes sense. This little girl could have killed him in the first 10 minutes. She could have killed him on the ride over. Okay? So once you realize that that's what the movie is, I have it down there with Cuckoo. I see why you like Cuckoo more, because like that at least has a story. It at least has something going for it. But I thought
think Dan
we
Stevens
had
just leaning in a little bit more in Cuckoo too.
And if they would have let us known that, I could have enjoyed Cuckoo more. Maybe I'll enjoy it more in a second watch. I just thought his goofiness fit better here. But it's clear from this, that, and Godzilla, my man's just playing himself.
He's having fun out there. Bro. Oh, yeah, that is one detail that I did like. Did you enjoy his character name?
What was his character name?
Adam Barrett. Adam Wingard Simon Barrett.
Oh.
I thought that was a kind of cute little horror movie.
Yeah, they love each other then at that point, bro.
Nod.
I was getting up something for Godzilla, and it's, what's his name? Rebecca Hall and Brian Tyree. They're like, how's it like on set? It was like, well, if you're him, I mean, you just, anything the director wants, he'll get it to you. You know, don't yell cut, don't do this. If you want refreshments, it's gonna be his refreshments. The boy was so stern. They looked over and they're like, oh, this is just a joke. It's just an inside joke. It's just an inside joke. So he loves those boys.
Nice.
Hey, guess 2 maybe. Maybe this is how we.
There we go.
We tie it in or something.
How we make it happen.
Yeah, for the fans of Radio Silence, they did say there is an Easter egg, without spoiling, for Ready or Not, that may connect these universes together.
Ooh.
So maybe if they connect, you can give it another half star. Take one from Ready or Not and give it to Abigail.
There we go. I'll do that.
But that is Abigail in theaters now. I'd say wait for it to release. Maybe as a very discounted rent it, but I think Zach wouldn't even have this as wallpaper in the back. Although
maybe not.
The blood was, they painted houses very well in the movie. I will give it that.
Yeah, well-coated walls for sure.